AM 1220 KDOW and Money 2.0 present The Real Estate Report with Tony Mendez and Gordon Hines. Bay Area real estate and mortgage experts with over 25 years in the business. Now, with an in-depth look at this week's local and national real estate news and what it means for you. Your hosts, Tony Mendez and Gordon Hines.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Report. I am Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
Thanks for being with us on your drive home. Be safe, everybody out there.
Thursday, we call it. We're here every Thursday from 6 to 7. Drive time special, we call it. Sitting in your car, listening to us. Just sit down and listen. If you got a question, write it down. Don't try to do it while you're driving. But we're here to answer your questions. We're here to talk real estate.
So call in show, 800-516-1220, 800-516-1220. Gordon's been in real estate for 25 years plus. He's owned the brokerage for real estate as well as mortgages, which were pretty much what you do now. But you also are a professional property manager as well as you dabble in, what do you call it? You don't like saying flips, but everybody knows flips.
That's a negative word. I call it resales.
You deal in resales, and you know the market very, very well in the Bay Area. And I know you've even done stuff in like places like Arizona and other like Sacramento and other parts of the state, even Bakersfield. I think you said you had an apartment there at one point. I've been in financing for 17 years plus. This is what we do. We help a lot of people get mortgages and real estate transactions. We have a great show for you today. What are we talking about? Rates. That seems to be a big story. Rates have come up quite a bit. Applications are up even though rates have gone up. December home sales, they were slow, but we expect 2018. We're going to talk about some of the trends for 2018. 2017 showed strong numbers in for the last 11 years. It's the highest we've seen in existing home sales in 2017. So at the beginning of 2017, Gordon, a lot of people were going to write it off as one of those, shuffle, what do they call it? Kind of a restructuring year where people are going to kind of figure out what they're doing we don't know what rates are going to be. Everybody was scared of what Trump was going to happen with Trump. And yet it turned out to be one of the best years we've seen in 11 years. Luxury home prices are up again. Figure that one out. You got stock market at all-time highs and luxury home sales. Not sales, but prices at all-time highs. In fact, sales are down quite a bit. Millennials, that's another. There's a misconception about millennials right now that they are having trouble buying houses, yet they are the largest pool of new buyers, and they are getting their act together. We're going to talk about that. Credit, it kind of ties into the millennial thing, some of the fixes and myths that are out there. And the real estate trends, we have some emails and more. Welcome, call the show, 800-516-1220. What's on your mind today, Gordon?
Everything real estate wise, I'm excited. 2018 is well on its way. I mean, so far, economy hasn't missed a beat since 2017. We closed out the year with a bang, and we started the year with a bang. Stock markets, of course, we talked last week and week before, hitting all-time highs, 25,000, that benchmark for the Dow. So, I mean, I'm very bullish on 2018. I think we got another 2-year run in us. I hope, not I hope, but I'm bullish on hoping. I strongly believe in what we do in real estate. I see all the economic signs that all lead into what we do here, and I don't see any slowdown in 2018.
What do you hypothetically, what happens if we see the stock market kind of, let's say it's just slows, let's say we see a 5% correction. Do you think that's going to change a lot of people's minds on real estate?
No, I mean, what typically happens if you look at the stock market, the mortgage market, the real estate market, if something happens and the market dips, people start to get nervous. But as time go on, if it's nothing bad, it's like almost like something happening bad outside of your house, and you don't go outside. But once it's all cleared up, you peek your head back out, and if nothing is out there, you head back out. Same thing happens in the economic markets. If you look at it,
there's a theory that if people stop seeing the investment opportunities in the stock market and in other markets, they turn to real estate. So. And this is a very interesting article. I'm glad to send it to you. Just shoot me an email, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com. It's about the theory that if the stock market starts correcting, that people are going to dump money into real estate, which would also drive real estate prices up even more. So I'm pretty confident no matter what happens, as long as it's not the employment numbers or really bad inflation numbers, we already know rates really. We saw them drive real estate for a while, but now we're seeing them break away from the rate trend, and people are buying real estate regardless. In fact, applications are up. Purchase applications hit an 8-year high. They had a tear last week they already had increases the previous 2 weeks. According to Mortgage Banker Associations, they had a 4.5 increase. The the gain happened on the heels of an 8.3 and a 4.1% increase in the previous 2 weeks. Meanwhile, refinance shares, they're up a little bit as well. The share of refinance to purchases, we see that dropping. Refinances are down about 49.4%, expected to go down by the end of 2018 down to 43% as purchase goes up. But we don't see rates really higher rates pushing people away from purchases. In fact, it's kind of a sign like maybe we should get in before interest rates go up. I don't like that kind of mentality though, Gordon. I think people should buy houses when they can afford it based on current conditions. And we're seeing some good positive numbers everywhere we look.
Well, I always talk rates doesn't drive the market, programs do. And it's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing every day we're seeing a new program coming to the table. I'm beginning to see very, very small signs of the stated loans coming back. I'm not talking about bank statements. I'm about strictly stated loans, meaning whatever income you post on your applications, the income that you get credit for to qualify. I'm beginning to see remnants of those coming. And I guess in order to kind of keep the market going, you have to bring something new to the market, or else the market becomes stagnant. So
but is it healthy though? I mean, we saw what happened the last time we had all these. Now, you guys have to remember that are listening, we're not going to see the 100% financing on a neg-am loan where you can actually end up with a balance that's higher than what you started. We're not going to see that anymore. We're not going to see second lows going 100%, even though right now we're seeing them at 95%. We're going to get to that later in the show. But do you see it being dangerous where more and more products are coming out? I think when you go to an actuary and they're going to help a lender figure out exactly some of those algorithms, and okay, you're going to have a 4% or 5% fallout rate, and you need to charge this much for your interest rate on this kind of credit score, and they figure out a rate sheet, and then they're going to make profit. I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at right now, Gordon.
Well, I mean, I don't see it to be.
They're just throwing these products together.
I don't necessarily see it to be a bad thing. It's because I believe some of these products are needed. I think after the crash, we became too conservative. And that conservativeness really held the market back. It's like holding back a champion horse. And as time went on, the horse began to outrun its restraints. And I think that's what's happened in the marketplace because the economy is doing so well. A lot of money in the environment. People are making money on all facets of every investment. So there's more money available. So people now are less likely to be bearish when it comes to real estate. So they're buying real estate because they know and they're seeing the future of the trends of where housing is going, where population is going, and demand for housing is still having slowed down.
How do you think it becomes less confusing for people out there that say, okay, I don't know what kind of product I'm going to do. You just talked about stated income or some sort of bank statement program. Could I do a NINA product, no income, no assets? What kind of do I need to use? An asset depletion loan or asset dissipation loan? Which lender is going to be the best for me? Should I use Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac? Which one matches best with my credit score? Even if I need a credit, there's loans out there you don't even need a credit score. They just look at your credit just to make sure you're not in bankruptcy or foreclosure somewhere else, but they don't use credit scores. So how do you guide a client to which product you're going to use if they're not going to be in one of the standard Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, standard jumbo, standard FHA, VA, USDA?
Well, the first thing I guide the client is, hey, listen to the radio show. That's why we're here. That's what we talk about every Thursday. We talk about different programs, how to get qualified, what's the best program for you. Now, every specific client has a specific need that's outside of the norm. We have those kind of specialty clients, but the majority of clients fall into a box that we can actually say, hey, look, this is what we have to offer. This is how this product can benefit you, and this is why we recommend a specific product based upon the specific time in your life for your specific need.
I think my favorite product out there right now is the asset dissipation or asset depletion loan. You don't actually deplete your assets. What they do is they take a calculation. Now, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have this. A lot of people out there who think that they would have qualified, maybe they've gotten turned down, but they had some assets and they're like, maybe I had some assets I could have used. Yes, you can. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac allow you to use assets, even if it's like $100,000, but you're not using it towards a loan, but you can't qualify. That $100,000 turns into income, yet you don't actually take it out. And a lot of loan officers don't even know that. Well, I like the ones, there are some portfolio lenders that are 2 or 3 times more aggressive than Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. We have a client that didn't quite qualify. They're on a fixed income, retired, but they had $1 million in assets, and they were able to refinance their property because they used, they got a 5-year ARM. Their rate was a little bit higher, but they qualified. And that's my favorite product right now, because there are a lot of people that think that they don't qualify, but they really do. Again, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac use it. That's your standard 30-year fixed out there with your standard best rates out there.
I've got a client right now, speaking of asset depletion. He sold a commercial property he had end of 2017. He's now looking to buy a home for his new wife, for him and his wife to occupy. He doesn't really have a job because he was kind of semi-retired, but he's got $992,000 profit from that property in the bank. We're actually going to use that $992,000 monies to complete a formula, which is going to equate that money into a monthly income, and we're going to use that monthly income to qualify for the purchase of the house.
$4,000 or $5,000 a month, doesn't it? Yeah, and that qualifies for easily for a $500,000 loan.
Yeah, it does.
And so these types of products are available. If you have any questions, you can always call us, 800-516-1220, or you can email us, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com or Gordon@BayAreaLoanSource.com, or our website, BayAreaLoanSource.com. Okay, that's enough of that.
Or he can also use the asset depletion in conjunction with another product. Let's say his wife works.
Yeah.
We can use the asset depletion for him and her income.
It's
for
not
her.
either or. You can use this in combination with other income. We've done several of them last year. Again, applications are up. It's not a phenomenon. I want to say it's a freak phenomenon, but it is interesting to see that people are still being driven towards real estate. And then again, we live in a kind of this weird environment where median home price here has got to be $885 or something like that. Marin County, San Francisco, San Mateo, Santa Clara, all of these counties are over $1 million, and it sounds weird that the median home price in the United States is roughly $350, $365 or something like that. In fact, I have it right here in front of me.
And that's actually a good thing.
Median's $246 in December.
That's the United States?
For existing home prices in the United States.
$246,000.
And right, so you have a lot of people, and part of our theme today is going to be about millennials and how they are really stepping up as the biggest buyer pool we've ever seen in the United States to buy houses, and they are making headway towards buying homes. And you look at a city like San Francisco and you go, okay, I can get a good salary here, but that salary it barely pays my rent. How am I going to come up with the 20% down or more and still qualify for the loan? So a lot of people are experimenting with other places, what we call second-tier cities all around the United States. And companies are figuring this out, Gordon. They're saying we are building offices around the United States to accommodate. Look what Amazon's doing. Amazon's going to find a place that they want an infrastructure. They probably need an airport, and they are going to find some affordable housing for the incomes that they're going to offer. And companies are doing this all over.
Plus, I think employers have changed their attitude towards the workforce. A lot of people now are working from home. Sometimes they only have to go to the office 2-3 times a week instead of 5-day commute.
And lenders are catching on with that too, and they're letting people do that more often.
And that can make a huge difference as far as how far you live from your house. If you don't have to drive in every 5 days, you only drive in 2 days a week. That's a huge difference.
We did a fireman in Tahoe. He drives down four times a week,
twice a month.
Four times a month, and he owns a primary residence in Tahoe.
Yeah.
We'll come back after this break here on AM 1220 KDOW. I'm Tony Mendez. That's Gordon Hines. You can always email the show, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com, or call the show, 800-516-1220. We'll come right back.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back into the Real Estate Report. I'm Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
Now, let's call the show 800-516-1220, 800-516-1220. Hitting some things on real estate. We were talking a little bit about millennials and how they're starting to step up their game. It's actually a longer story than this segment, so we're going to keep that for the next. But December existing home sales were slow, but 2017 ends up 1.1% over 2016. That's sales. And the best levels we've seen in 11 years. The median existing home price in December was $246,800 nationwide at a 5.8% rate of appreciation for the year. And that was the 70th straight month of year-over-year gains.
Wow. That's
70th straight month of year-over-year gains. Condos performed even better with a 6.4% annual increase to a median of $236,000. So it's only $10,000 less than a single-family house. But I hope you're not sitting on the sidelines and watching this go by. I know that I missed 2000. I didn't really. I bought a place in the end of 2017, which was great to know that identical house sold for $40,000 more 2 months later. It's really fun to see that, Gordon, to see that you buy a house and the next month another house sells for 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand more. And then the next month, you kind of like, you go to Zillow and you keep looking for those comps and it's just.
But I tell you, conversely.
But you're sitting, we had a client just call us right before the show and we're working on pre-approval and I wrote him a really nice long letter about Bay Area real estate. And they've been sitting on the sideline for 6 months. They were waiting for the tax reform bill. And it turns out nothing affected them at all. And now they're back into it. And they probably lost out 2 or 3%.
Oh, yeah, probably so. Thousands of dollars. But I tell you, I've been on the other side of the fence too, Tony. Conversely, it is really, really depressing to see you bought a house with $300,000 and an identical model. It's probably a little bit bigger than yours. Sold down the street 3 months later for $20,000 less. So when the market starts to reverse itself, sometimes you got to hold on to your hat and just be patient.
Had a back in one of the first houses I bought back in Virginia, nice vinyl house. I was like, oh, vinyl. I won't have to do any painting. The whole house was vinyl except for like the front door and the back door. And then about 6 months later, they built the identical houses, but they built them all in brick and for the same price practically. And my house value went down. So that was a little bit depressing. And we had to hold in the house for quite a long time before we sold it and to get our kind of original sale price back. But things have changed, rates are a lot lower. There's a lot less inventory. Inventory is really the story. The number of available homes fell another 11.4% in December, and it's now 10.3% lower than a year ago. That's 1.6 million properties lower in the United States. The inventory has declined year over year for 31 consecutive months and is currently estimated at a 3.2 month supply. The Bay Area is much lower than that. It's the lowest level since the National Association of Realtors have been tracking this stat since back 1999.
And that actually does.
That's probably the most powerful stat you're going to hear today.
Yeah, that does bring something to my radar when you're looking at a marketplace that's continuing where prices are going up, but at the same time there's less inventory to purchase. It's almost, I always tell people it's worse to have money in your pocket and nothing to buy than no money in your pocket and plenty to buy. And when I see that trend, that's the trend that does concern me. When we're looking at the number of real estate agents, we were talking last week or week before last, that are in this particular city and only X amount of houses sold. So it's almost like you got one real estate agent or 8 real estate agents for every transaction. So that's going to put a bite in the economic evaluation of income for those agents. And that's where you start to see things start to topple and start to kind of eat away of some of this great appreciation we're seeing right now.
As somebody who's sitting on the sidelines looking to buy a house and wondering if, $885,000 median home price in the Bay Area. What happens if there is more inventory? You have some, the National Association of the chief economist at the NAR said the lack of supply over the past year has been eye-opening and is why, even with strong job creation pushing wages higher, home prices gained at 5.8% nationally in 2017, doubled the pace of income growth, and were even swifter in several other markets. When you're sitting on the sideline, you hear somebody say, okay, that's why home prices are going up because we don't have inventory. What happens when people dump inventory? Well, let's analyze that. Where's the inventory going to come from? Where are people going to move if they start selling? They're going to go to another priced home, the existing home. We're seeing existing home sales go up. What is it? 1.1% over 2006. It's going up every year. And that's because there's not a lot of homes being built.
And that's another good point. I talk to a lot of people sometimes, and they would like to sell their home, and their question is, okay, Gordon, where do I go? So if I do sell my home and I have all this cash, I have to go into a smaller market or some other market other than where I'm at. I'm comfortable with my family dynamics of my neighborhood, so I'm holding on.
We run the numbers all the time to see if it makes sense for people to buy. We have great rent versus buy calculators. We use them all the time. We can do very quick scenarios and approvals. You can always see our website, BayAreaLoanSource.com. You can always email the show, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com. And you can call the show 800-516-1220. We'll be right back after this break.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back into the Real Estate Report. I'm Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
The ECB European Central Bank keeps policy guidance unchanged as expected. The European Central Bank reaffirmed its ultra-ease policy stance on Thursday, promising to keep rates steady until maybe the end of the year. It's going to buy some bonds. In the meantime, I think they're, $37.16 billion a month until the end of September. But they keep steady. They keep talking about how that's going to end. But they've changed. They're seeing the dollar split right now in the euro, and it's worrying them a little bit. So they're kind of backing off and saying, they're going to be flexible. Either way, we're seeing the 10-year yield kind of react to this to some of the highest levels we've ever seen in 3 years, and that equals higher interest rates. Right now, the Freddie Mac weekly survey has the 30-year fixed at 4.15, the 15-year arm at 15-year fixed at 3.62%, and the 5-year arm at 3.52%. So
that's been steadily increasing since the beginning of the
has.
year. Yeah, if you look every week, we talk rates, and if you go back and listen to our shows, we have them on podcasts. You'll see that every week we mention this particular stat because it's an important stat. It goes all the way back to 1972. One thing we always like to talk about in the show is milestones. This is a great milestone that's happening this year. Fair Housing celebrates its 50th anniversary. Most people are not familiar with fair housing, but most people have benefited from fair housing. Fair housing was enacted back in 1968. That says that everybody of equal race, sex, gender, religion, and they even talk about families have access to housing because a lot of people didn't like to rent homes with families. If you had kids, they won't rent to you. Yep. So that was always protected.
That's
class.
That form that says we do not discriminate based on
any of those criteria.
So
but I guess at some point in time, fair housing turning 50 is going to have to be revisited because now we've got some other people, some other classes now that want protection, same-sex marriages and different genres of people. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Congress handles that in coming year at the anniversary.
A couple more pieces of paper. I'm pretty sure that a couple more signatures will keep saying. Yeah, it is interesting to see that how the lending side of everything has changed. It's a little bit more complicated, but I'm sure there's some clients listening that are saying, well, we just did a loan with you that took 20 days. It was pretty darn easy. Everything was signed online. That's kind of the way that things are moving for most transactions. The farther you get away from the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, USDA, and VA, the harder it gets, a little bit harder, and it gets a little bit harder. Your rate's a little bit higher. There is a saying that the easier the loan, the higher the rate. But it's working the other way right now. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and all the lenders are all working together, and there's some really good, the verifying, the income verifications. When we get our DU now, DU stands for desktop underwriting. It's like an automated thing. We're starting to get people's income verified before we don't even have to provide a W-2 or a paycheck stub. It's already done. So some of these things have really changed.
Well, it's interesting. I want to piggyback off. Interesting. You said time. There's an article here in the real estate magazine CAR puts out. It talks about the average number of days it took to close a house in 2017. It was 36 days, where in 2016 it was only 31 days. So it's kind of interesting. With technology increasing, that actually took 5 days longer for the average purchase in 2017 to close. And we are averaging a lot less than that here in our shop because we have the new automated systems.
I ain't promising a number like that. I don't even want to say it, but
we're delivering. We're delivering.
Yeah.
We're delivering. That's why we're here.
Some of the trends in 2018, certainly we'll see some, more, modifications like maybe the fair housing, but definitely in technology. Some of the trends we'll see in 2018. Again, this is kind of a theme throughout the day. Millennials, they're coming into their own. I like seeing that the housing market for 2018 is starting to pick up a little bit for millennials. They're working on their credit. They're working on their debt. They're working on, dual incomes. They're moving to cities that have a little bit more affordable housing. And then on the other side, flip side of that, we have cities that are welcoming companies that are offering some, those incentives to bring those companies, or at least some sort of satellite office. And then you got people working from home, and lenders are really, really working with you as far as working from home and still calling it primary. Like we said, we just did somebody in Tahoe, and they commute 1 day a week, and they got a primary house up in Tahoe. And
that was a good purchase for him too.
Yeah, worked out. We'll come right back after this break here on AM 1220 KDOW. I'm Tony Mendez. That's Gordon Hines. You can call the show 800-516-1220.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back into the Real Estate Report. I am Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
Lowe's had a fantastic year, and they're set to pop another 20% in the next year as America's obsession with homes swell under Republican tax cuts, according to One Wall Street Bank. Shares of the home improvement company rose 0.9% today. Blah, 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 so on. 42% climb over the last 42% climb over the past 6 months. People love to do home improvement, don't they?
Yeah, we've been talking about that. We've been talking about the Lowe's stock and Home Depot stock. We've been talking about behind every dark cloud is a silver line. Anytime there's a disaster in any part of the country, if it's time to rebuild, and rebuilding means people going out buying product to remodel. Matter of fact, HGTV, those shows, they used to be like one fix and flip home programs. Now they got them in Denver, Colorado. They got them in Texas and California, everywhere. They have 15 to 20 of those shows on different genres, but they're all doing the same thing. And that's why there's such an assault on places like Home Depot and Lowe's as far as material cost is concerned.
Millennials are proving that they are not just or as good as other generations or older generations when it comes to money management habits like saving and budgeting, according to Better Money Habits Millennial Report released today. This is despite what 73% of Americans think about millennials' money habits, saying that millennials overspend on indulgences and will have trouble meeting long-term goals, when in fact, 47% of millennials have $15,000 or more in savings, and 16% have over $100,000 in savings. This is an improvement over the last few years when they surveyed back in 2015. Millennials are just as likely to budget as older generations. 54% of all millennials plan and manage a budget, compared to 54% of Gen Xers and 57% of baby boomers. Roughly 3/4 of millennials who budget stick to it. Millennials represent the largest buyer pool ever and are expected to be the largest contributor to household formation for years to come. Unfortunately, better spending habits and budget habits don't ease the challenges that millennials have. They're carrying the largest debt of any generation out of school. They have the lowest credit score and the least amount of down payment of any other generation, and that's who they're competing against, are these other generations. One of the piece of advice that I would give any person, that is, and especially a millennial going into purchasing a house, is get involved with their credit. Even though we are in the age of the gig age, and everybody's can get Credit Karma, they all have smartphones. Not everybody knows their credit. Not everybody knows the right advice on credit. That would be the first place I started.
Well, credit, I think, we deal with credit day in, day out. Credit's a lot easier to manage now than it was before. Before, many years ago, your credit report was like a mystery. Nobody wanted to give you a copy. I can show it to you, but I can't give it to you. Now you can go on the web and hit one button. You can see your credit report in 10 different fashions, 10 different credit scores, 10 different options, 10 different deliveries, because it's that important. Everything is based on credit score. You're going to pay less if you have a high credit score. You're going to pay more if you have a low credit score. You're not going to be able to buy anything if you have a low credit score.
It's the other way around. Other way around.
You're not going to be able to buy anything. I said
you said if you have a low credit score, you're going to pay more. You said it the other way around.
Okay, well, let me reverse that. Thank you for the correction. You're going to pay less
with a better credit score.
With a better credit score. So there.
And that's really what it. And you put a $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 mortgage in front of an interest rate, and you have a 1% difference between a 640 score and a 740 score. Not only that, you may even be cut out of a program and you have to use something else with mortgage insurance and things like that. You really want to pay attention to your credit. Some of the things that affect your credit score: payment history, that's about 35% of your the value of your credit score. Length of history is about 15%. New accounts, inquiries. A lot of people think that inquiries will affect your credit score. If you do the same kind of shopping, it's going to affect it once, but if you do the same kind of industry within a certain period of time, usually 30 days, it doesn't affect it as much, or if at all. Accounts in use is another factor in your credit, and revolving account limits. In fact, the limits on your credit card are the quickest way that you can change your credit with ease, by simply paying your credit card down, for example. I don't think installment car payments are the same. That's more about time and making payments on time. And the last one, of course, is public records, things like bankruptcy judgments and collections. There's something called a courtesy release. Like if you have a collection and you're about to pay that off, be careful, because it's not guaranteed that by removing that collection that your credit score will go down. In fact, it could go up, because it now becomes a new fresh entry of what they call a paid collection. So you can do something called a courtesy release, where you ask the creditor or the collection agency, if you pay them a certain amount, and you can negotiate this with them, you pay a certain amount, you can actually have that removed or expunged completely from the credit report. And that way your credit score will go up instead of you don't know what it's going to do.
I mean, credit is great. I think it's a good monitor of a person. It looks like a person's character, how they pay their credit. Believe it or not, has some character linkage to it. One of the things that I one of my pet peeves that I used to complain about credit reports is whenever I see something listed on the credit report where creditor accept less than balance owed, I think that's a false statement of disclosure. If you didn't want to take it, you shouldn't take it, but don't take it and then report it. I always have a problem with that. I like to see that thing actually get corrected.
Yeah, you can negotiate with these collections and with these payoffs. That's but being proactive with your credit is important. Again, the difference on a $400,000 loan of 1% can be about $2,600 a year more that you're paying than the other person with a 740 score. So get involved. That's what I would tell a millennial right now. Start looking at options about the low down payment products. One of the things that we talk about all the time is that products drive the market. There are a lot of low down payment products. FHA, VA. If you're a veteran, VA is the best loan out there, period. They have FHA rates, which are lower than your standard Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, but they don't come with mortgage insurance, and you can put very little down up to a certain amount.
Well, it's a reward. It's a reward for people that service our country, that give their lives and
best
their
loan
limbs
out there,
and their physical and mental capacities to the benefit of all of the citizens. So it should be the best loan out there. It's the only true 100% loan finance product out there on the marketplace, unless there's something sinister going on. But it's a great program. We love to help veterans. I think we should do more. I'd like to see the VA do a little bit more for them. But I think that's a great benefit, is to be a vet and be able to buy a house with 100% financing.
Agreed. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, 3 or 5% down. First and second loan combos to 95%. Jumbos, 10% down, and some portfolio lenders even 5% down to $1.5 million. You want to access any of these types of loans, credit score will play a huge difference in what rate you end up and whether or not you qualify. There are a lot of low down payment products available. And when you go to these portfolio products with, whether it's 5 or 10 or 20% down, you can add on some of those features that they have, like the asset depletion, the bank statement products, and things like that, but you need that good credit score. If you have any questions about any of these low down payment products, you can always go to our website, BayAreaLoanSource.com. You can always email the show, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com, or info@BayAreaLoanSource.com. We'll come right back after this break. I'm Tony Mendez. That's Gordon Hines. This is the Real Estate Report on AM 1220 KDOW.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back into the Real Estate Report. I am Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
Redfin, they did a report on luxury homes in the United States. Luxury home prices rose 7.4% year over year to an average of $1.76 million in the fourth quarter of 2017. The Redfin analysis tracks home sales in more than 1,000 cities across the United States and defines the luxury market of the top 5% of the most expensive homes sold in a city in each quarter. The average price for non-luxury homes, according to them, was $333,000, also up 6%. Compared to the year earlier. Inventory is the main driver here. Redfin showed 23.8% lower year to year last quarter, over the last 3 quarters. Okay, 23.8% lower in inventory. Chief economist Neela Richardson, in a statement said the stock market hit all-time highs with gains in nearly every sector last quarter, instilling confidence among the wealthiest home buyers. As a result, we saw double-digit growth in luxury home sales in the last month. I actually saw a report that San Francisco did not do well in this, but their luxury price is something like $5.3 million. It was something crazy like that. But you can kind of see the idea that, if you don't have a lot of inventory out there and you have a lot of people with a lot of money looking to, cash in on some of those big homes, you're going to see those prices go up. So where does that kind of formula fail, Gordon?
Well, I mean, the money stops flowing or slows down. If you look at the stock market, there are a lot of people out there making a lot of money in the stock market. Even some of the common people now, because of the 401ks, are making money, and some of those people are taking some of those 401ks monies out to buy these expensive homes. If you have a lot of liquid money in your 401k, people think it's free money, especially when you're in your 30s and your 40s. You don't think you're ever going to need that money. You got time to make it back, and you find people use those money that if it's not used wisely it kind of takes away from that future earnings when they become retired. So I think the formula can crack if the market slows down. People start taking the money out the market, and there's nowhere else place to put it. You'll see these things as it's a bad formula.
I find it interesting whether or not we can apply that same formula to just your regular house here in the Bay Area. You know, something around $1 million to $1.5 million, which right now, maybe 10 years ago or more, that would have sounded outrageous, and that would have been your luxury home. But now that's your 3-bedroom, 2 baths, 1,800 square foot house, and it's even higher if you're in places like Palo. Another stat to add to Palo Alto and some of the other peninsula cities, they just got some of the best ratings for California school systems. So you add that stuff together, and you're gonna, in low inventory, you're gonna see these home prices continue going up. A lot of rebuilds, though. A lot of people tear down and rebuild. I went to a house today, in fact, into one of the most beautiful neighborhoods I've ever been in Alameda County, and I hope they're not listening. They had one of the worst houses in one of the best neighborhoods, and they're going to take some money out and fix it up.
Well, if they are listening, definitely going to continue with this refinance. I'll tell you that much.
I don't want to say the worst house, but you kind of get the idea that they're sitting on a gold mine. I looked at, they bought it for $750 and it's worth 1.1, and they can probably build another 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 in that, just with some of the good repairs and without a tear down. But imagine a tear down on a piece of property like that in one of those desirable neighborhoods. And I think a lot of people are still looking at that kind of option.
You know,
or the deals, though.
I'll tell you, there's one great stat that I think people don't pay attention to that I've been noticing, that the effect of home valuations going up have had. It's profound and turn around some of the worst neighbors in some of these bad cities that we had before. When I say bad cities that were challenged with poverty. And it's like Oakland, for example, and Richmond and San Pablo, those cities that were below the scale because of the economic valuation. I'm seeing a lot of those neighborhoods that were passed on before, overlooked, are now making trends and turns upwards.
Bay Area's rocking and rolling. 2018 looks fantastic for real estate. You have any questions, you can always call the show, 800-516-1220, or email us, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com or Gordon@BayAreaLoanSource.com. We'll be back next week. Thanks for joining us. This is the Real Estate Report on AM 1220 KDOW.